Yeah.
Blue bags are these?
Yeah. Thank you.
In principle, try not to leave bags and things just lying around on the street for two reasons, for security reasons, and besides maybe someone will just like it and pick it up and walk away with it, okay? Now ladies, you need to cover up your shoulders. In 70 AD, when the Romans were destroying the temple, they not only destroyed the temple, they actually dismantled or tried to dismantle Temple Mount. And so it's built out of huge blocks of stone. It's higher than what you see here today. It's 12 stories high. This is the largest building or largest holy compound in the world. The temple itself is another 12 stories from the level of the floor of Temple Mount. This is huge. It's big. It's the largest structures in the world at that time in the 1st century. And so the Romans destroy the temple and they start dismantling Temple Mount. What do? They dismantle these huge blocks of stone and throw it down into the 1st century road, which is beneath us over here.
So
What happens?
This is the Western
Of
Wall?
Temple Mount. Temple Mount, basically the western wall starts over here. And if you look to the north, you see a minaret over there. That's on the northwestern corner over there. So it's almost half a kilometer long, the western wall. It's a total of 144,000 square meters. It's huge, and as I said, in the time when the temple stood here, the Temple Mount itself is a religious compound, was the largest religious compound in the world, and the temple itself, which was 12 stories high, twice the size of the Dome of the Rock that you see there today, was the largest structure in the world at its time. Another word about the topography of the city. The city of Jerusalem is a city of hills and valleys. We will see this concept from different perspectives today and tomorrow. If you look out over there, that's the Mount of Olives to the east of the city. We'll be there tomorrow. It slopes down to the Kidron Valley, which is just beyond Temple Mount. We'll see it tomorrow. We'll be in the Kidron Valley tomorrow. Then it rises up to the hill of Mount Moriah, which is also sloping down to the hill of the city of David, down off to the right. And then it slopes down over here. This is what we call the Central Valley because it runs in the center of the city. So we have the hill of Mount Moriah, a drop to the Central Valley, and now we're rising up to the Western Hill. The Western Hill is called that because it rises dramatically to the west of Temple Mount and the city of David, which are lower than the Western Hill. The Western Hill is much higher, and so now we're rising up to the Western Hill. And so, is everybody taking the pictures? Are you good to go?
Yes.
Okay, let's go up. So, we're on the Western Hill now. It's higher, and it slopes farther up towards the west, but we're more or less on the high ground. And this area, this part of the Western Hill, is the Jewish quarter. And so I'm going to take you to see a few sites here in the Jewish quarter, and then we'll give you like half an hour free to do a coffee in process. Is that okay? Coffee in. We did coffee out over there, now we're going to do coffee in. So it's an ongoing process.
We got 30 minutes.
Okay,
30
so
minutes.
not yet. We're going to first business, then pleasure. Okay, you good with that? So let's go see some sites and then I'll set you free.
Okay.
In black on the map. Okay, these are the Turkish walls of today. So already you can see that the Turkish walls, or the old city of today, do not correspond to the city of David and Solomon, which are over here. And actually, the ancient city of Jerusalem is outside the Turkish walls, or outside the walls of the old city of Jerusalem, as you can see on the map. Okay? So, in a sense, you could say that we have three cities of Jerusalem. We have the ancient city of Jerusalem over here. We have the old city of Jerusalem, which is everything inside the Turkish walls, the black lines that you see here, which I'm pointing out. And we have the new city of Jerusalem, which is everything else. So this already gives you a little bit of a picture of how the walls of the city change and fluctuate over time. Sometimes the city's small, sometimes it's larger, sometimes it's here, sometimes it's there. Notice, we are on top of the Western Hill. And the Western Hill here is encompassed by this wall. You can see the red dotted line. And this section of the wall down over here is where I'm pointing right now. So the Western Hill today is bisected by the Turkish wall. Half of the Western Hill is outside the Turkish walls, but from a certain period, it was inside the walls of the city. Okay, so the city fluctuates over time. Now, this wall is dated to the 8th century BC. And to understand what goes on, we have to go to the year 723 BC. In the year 723 BC, the northern kingdom of Israel is destroyed by the Assyrians. Many people are exiled, and this is what we call the lost 10 tribes of Israel. We don't know where they are, we don't know who they are. They were exiled to the east, so probably to the northeast, and basically assimilated into the lands where they were exiled to, and they ceased to exist as I would say, with their identity as people of Israel. Some of the people, it seems, fled south to the intact kingdom of Judah and possibly populated the Western Hill, which at that point, if I can get my laser up, at that point was not encompassed with a wall. At that point, this is the city of Jerusalem, and the Western Hill where we're standing has not yet been encompassed in a wall. And David, when he captures Jerusalem, 2 Samuel chapter 5. In one form or another, sometimes it's large, sometimes it's small. There's periods when there are very few Jews here. There's periods when Jews weren't allowed to live here under foreign rulers. The Jewish presence on the Western Hill in this section over here, it seems to start in the 13th century. And so there's been Jews living here in the 13th century almost continuously until today. In the War of Independence in 1948, the Arabs captured the Jewish quarter, and the Jewish quarter surrendered, and the people evacuated. I'll show you a picture. Look. This is the people of the Jewish quarter exiting this Zion Gate. We'll be exiting Zion Gate in a little while. This is how they exited when they were allowed to evacuate when the Jewish quarter was captured by the Jordanians. And this is a description of the street here in the Jewish quarter before and after. You can see the destruction. You can see a young girl called Rachel Levy who's fleeing the battles. And so basically when the Jordanians captured the Jewish quarter, they dynamited the Jewish quarter and destroyed it in the 21st century war. Okay? Up over here you have the opal, which is the Israeli national bird. This gentleman over here in blue is Mayor Eddie Pollack, who was a 30-year mayor of Jerusalem. And the guy next to him over here is Professor Nathan Abigatz, who was the chief archaeologist responsible for archaeological presentations here in the 1970s and 1980s. So this is what a Carter would look like. If you stand here in the 6th century, looking north, this is what we would see. Recently, they added on mosaics over here on the side to give us a sense as if these are the shops that would have been here on the side. Why do I say that this isn't a relic? Because I have here called the Temple Institute. All the utensils necessary for the service. And basically they believe that by doing this, they are helping promoting the church coming at the end of times when the Messiah will come and be rebuilt. And basically they're ready. And they're saying when that time will come, the temple will be rebuilt, and we will have everything we need for the service at the temple, including the building of the third temple on Temple Mount. So on the top picture, you can see the crane and the construction going on with the trucks bringing material in. And on the lower picture, you can already see the temple that has been rebuilt. Okay? Interesting to note that you can see the light train of Jerusalem, the tram of Jerusalem, which right now doesn't have a line in the Kidron Valley. And also there's a cable car. Here's a cable car. The cable car is in planning, by the way. So they're kind of like incorporating modern things. Now, a word about the menorah. The menorah is the candelabra. It's 7 branched. Why? Because the Bible says so. It's very simple. The Bible describes in detail the utensils for the work and the service at the temple, and that's it. This is how the Bible describes how it should be, and this is how it shall be. Now, 7 is a typological number. 7 days of creation, 7 days of a week, 7 branches of the candelabra. And the Bible tells us how the candelabra should look. It has to be made out of some kind of iron or steel. It has to have at least gold plated or covered with gold. It has to have 7 branches, and the 7 branches have to be lit at the temple at all times, even on the Sabbath, when in principle Jews are not allowed to light fire on the Sabbath. To light the fire